So, hey, we get together on Fridays at 1 p.m. for now until that changes, just to begin to share any experiences that some real estate professionals may be having. Some agents are already partnered with us as coordinators, facilitating agents who have the goodies and the content so that they can start the conversations with people, bring them to the table. And then, of course, Brittany, we spoke about this earlier, give those clients an opportunity to get their estate plan completed. Pardon me for my voice. I don't know why, but it's just not that clear. So if you have a hard time or if you need to have me repeat something, I will. And I do have to sing tonight and tomorrow.
Wow.
So I don't know how this is going to work. But anyway, hey, Renee, nice to see you join us. So the purpose is, as I said, to give people an opportunity so that they could share maybe some experiences they've been seeing along the way in their life, have us answer some of those questions, display and talk more about the program itself and how you can get involved in earning more reputation, more referrals, extra income through estate planning, make more sales from real estate as you identify properties and have discussions about those properties as these estate plans are being completed. Sounds like a natural to me. So Renee is working on promoting herself and her team in some certain communities with the eye on adding value in the estate planning arena through some publications, which I think is a brilliant way to market and keep yourself in front of them, but also show your higher level of education and service. Maybe you could share 30 seconds with us about, the reason why you're doing that.
So I moved last year into what's considered a resort community. It's a 55 plus community in Crossville, Tennessee, and it's got a lot of golfing and lakes and things of that nature. And so there's a new publication that is coming to town. They have them throughout the country. So in your areas, they may have that as well. It's like Friends of the City. And so it's coming to town, and they have reached out to different local businesses to try to get them to advertise. And we have signed on as the real estate experts in this area. And as a turn of lucky events, my husband and I are going to be highlighted as the first family on the magazine. So, we have the ability 4 times a year to post articles to the magazine, publish articles. And so we're working to kind of really focus on the real estate component as well as the estate planning based on, the age demographic of the community that we're in.
Awesome. Well, you certainly have the face for the publication.
Well, thank you.
I'm not sure about your husband, though. That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture once we get the pictures. We actually just had them done yesterday, so we'll see how those turn out.
Have you had the opportunity to enter the goodies and to see material and content that you could use at this point, or any help that you need from us?
No, I've just really kind of started looking through the site and trying to educate and read through the materials. There's just a lot of stuff in there, which is great, but really no, I'm just kind of using that time just to educate myself.
Anyone hey, Shantae, glad you could make it. Say hello to your husband for me. Any questions for Renee about how she's going about doing that work, if you'd like to know more?
What's the name of the publication again?
So the one here is going to be Friends of Fairfield Glade. And I can, if you want to drop your email, I'm happy to connect you to the publisher that's here, and they can kind of see if there's one in your community. And they have one, like I said, Friends of West Haven, Friends of different communities throughout the country. So I think it's a pretty broad publication. But my understanding is they mail them to the top 2,000 in our community, the top 2,000 high income earners. So that's a pretty good publication to get our faces in front of them.
Nice.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what is some of the most difficult things? Look, we could throw content together. Probably no one better than me at doing that. So I apologize that I do have a very large arsenal of educational content and material, which both Trina and Lowell are vital to coordinating that and packaging that. And we're getting better at it. And that makes it better for everyone. Before we talk about, and I'll have Lowell and Trina both talk about future certification, because some have asked, even as recently as this morning, you know, is there certification that's required? Is there certification that's needed? How far will that help me as a professional move this point and conversation along regarding estate planning is concerned? So Lowell or Trina, either one, if you'd like to spend a moment about what's up and coming and some of the uses of that, I'd love to hear you say something. I'm sure they would. Well, that's okay.
Oh gosh, is it my turn to talk?
Don't worry about it. I'll just say what it is. So it is a educational venue for agents to learn about basic estate planning. Nothing very exotic, nothing at a very advanced level, but the basics, right? What is probate? What is a trust? What's the difference between two of the most common types? One is a revocable living, and the other is an irrevocable, right? What is guardianship? How does that pertain to an estate plan? How about advanced directives? Is that important to know about? How do I know what properties and assets should be included in my trust, right? So items in education like that is really what's needed to get the ball rolling and to have a conversation with a family who just placed $1 million of assets into their home, into their life, without any regard for how it's going to be transitioned and exited. And that there is the nightmare that awaits everyone. The question becomes, how do you begin a conversation to open the door so that you're allowed to continue to speak intelligently and also identify those that are willing to spend 15 minutes further with us so that we can provide them what they need to know to get an estate plan together. And believe me, they know it's right for them. It's not anything that you need to twist their arm on, right? So how do you do that? And hey, Ramon is here from British Columbia. Now, the Canadian market, I'll speak quickly. There are many agents that are Canadian agents here within EXP who have reached out and said, hey, will this work in the Canadian market for me? Now, it may and it may not. But Ramon is with us, and he is, well experienced in moving in the estate planning space. So if there is any Canadian people, and I know one or two off the top of my head, that I will be passing over to Ramon so that he can get them started in that direction. How does that sound, Ramon? Pretty good, right?
Awesome.
So look, this is what I'd like to do today. I'd like to help everyone on how to hunt for building an additional stream of income and build referrals through using estate planning. Who would like to hear more about that? I would, right? So you need to have some rules before we begin. Now, the behavior that holds back almost everyone is the first step, followed by the next step, and knowing where that bottleneck is and what to do about it. So many just try. When I say many, we're talking about real estate agents. I'm telling you this. Throw a lot of money at problems, and these are lead generation problems, hoping for a hot lead. Wouldn't you agree? Lowell, we speak about this very often. It's not unlikely to hear someone say they bought a coaching platform or lead generation they spent $2,000 or $3,000 a month for. So it doesn't matter if you're throwing money at this issue or not. The same things still have to continue before you start seeing the success that you desire. And of course, like anything else, it's a cycle and will remain constant through time, eternal, which means it's always in motion. It's like money. Money is always in motion, or at least it should be. So the first thing, we need to decide, who is it that we want to become involved with? I think that's great that we have the opportunity here to pick and choose who we want to be friends with. When you get to a point in a career, you actually can pick and choose who you do want to work with and who you do not. That's a great place to be. I'm sure you've come across people that you never want to deal with again, right? So marketers call this person an avatar. So in any cycle of success, this unit of identification is then called a suspect. Now, the definition of a suspect in the real estate services industry is someone that you think would benefit from having a conversation with you about any topic or a certain topic, whether that's market, market conditions, how's the market doing, what's the latest and greatest in, interior design, but it also could be estate planning. Estate planning is their house, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what we're talking about? So when we narrow it down to estate planning, a suspect is anyone that the agent thinks would benefit from a conversation with you and who in that process may actually learn something that they were not aware of before about their own current estate plan. So in repeating this, being able to let them become aware, that's the first step, that they may actually learn something from you that they didn't know before, may propel them to sit with you, hear from you, and become aware that they're missing something. Now, when you fail to become a master of this phenomenon, because it's true, whether we're speaking about real estate, estate planning, medicine, right? Exercising, right? Insurance, you're not running efficiently. So you need a tune-up. And that's what we propose to try to help you do. You have to believe 100% that the person that you select would benefit from a conversation with you about the topic you choose. If you do not have that kind of passion and belief, you're always going to run into that obstacle, failure to move them forward with you. It is emotion that sells. It moves people. It's logic that keeps them with you and rationalizes the good that they have done. Those of you fooling yourselves that you have no suspects are just justifying your stress and your lack of sales and blaming an issue that in all cases is not true. And this is especially true with estate planning. Now, listen, any 10 people, any 10 friends, any 10 clients, any 10 neighbors, any 10 anybody, you will find what I'm saying is true. When you survey 10 people, 5 will say they have no estate plan. Can I get an amen? Somebody, unmute. Give me a high five.
Amen.
All 5 are wrong. They're wrong because they all have the government plan. And that government plan is the probate court. So they do have a plan. See, that's the first step in education that can be provided. And if they understood the process and the distribution rules surrounding their estate does have a process for them. And if they have any assets at all, they will not want the probate solution. Quickly, can someone unmute and tell me why you would not want or want their family to go through the probate default solution?
Well, it's simple. I mean, you don't want your family having to spend a whole lot of money in probate court when it can be avoided. Or, going through the grieving process, you don't want to add that stress of probate on top of that.
I'll add to that. I'm in the middle of one right now that it's a probate situation, and we have the property under contract, but of course none of the heirs will see any of the benefit until March or April. All the funds have to be set aside because it has to go through that process. And it's been a complicated situation up to this point because their mother just didn't have an estate, plan. So it's interesting to kind of see this now and what so many people go through, having to deal with the emotional component and then now the financial component after the fact.
Yeah, thank you, Renee and Brittany. The estate plan is like a seatbelt, right? Before there were seatbelts, people's bodies went through the dashboard window. The outcome was never pretty, right? So seatbelts were designed and they were placed mandatorily to make sure that we protect ourselves. Well, that has not happened in working with estates, working especially in the real estate industry where, in my opinion, and I'm not alone, there's been no regard to education and the prevention of these problems happening. And the number one person that can make sure this happens is you folks. Now, I can include myself. I'm a real estate agent, whatever. But you don't have to be a real estate agent. You just have to want to do good for people, which means you don't even need a license to help people move forward in getting their estate plan completed, right? You don't have to have a license. You don't need it to be certified. Anyone could do the right thing by telling people it's the right thing to do, and here's why. You don't need to be an attorney, that's for sure. And we're finding out more and more attorneys are not even really needed in this situation any longer as once they were, for many reasons. That's a different discussion. We'll have another time. Now, those were 5. Now, what about the other 5? They either have a will or a trust, or they'll say they do. Now, if they have a will, they still do have to go through the probate court process. Can someone tell me why having a will would mean the probate court process still needs to take place? If you do know the answer, please tell us.
Is it because of the heirs, or just having to make sure that that's the right person?
Yes, both are correct. It is usually because those heirs, the beneficiaries, need to be validated, proved worthy, and that they were really originally intended to be beneficiaries, and that there's no conflict happening between beneficiaries or heirs and other creditors, right? So a will still allow conflict to take place. In fact, a will opens the door for more conflict to take place. It's inviting conflict, okay? Where it could have been avoided if they had what? If they had a trust, right? So if they have a trust, they have an opportunity to avoid the majority of the probate process. We talked about this last week. I know, Lowell, we spoke about it. Is probate, can it be 100% avoided? So what is that answer? Lowell, we spoke about it. Can it be 100% avoided?
Yes, it depends on the complexity of the estate. If the estate is not extremely complex, yes.
Yes, or if everything, all their assets are placed in their goodie bag, their trust, right? And they didn't leave anything out of it, out of the trust name, or all of their assets have beneficiaries tied to their assets directly. The answer is yes, but it's unlikely. It's unlikely. And so because of that, there probably will be a portion of that estate that will flow through the probate process. The key is identifying those assets that are not going to become problematic to the family going through that court process. Did that make sense? To identify those assets that if they had to go through probate, they would go through smoothly, without conflict, and with the least amount of expense. Now, out of these 5 people, 80% are unhappy with their current plan. Why would they be unhappy with it? I mean, their attorney drafted it 10 years ago, right? They got remarried. They have new children. They moved 3 times. So really, their estate plan is defunct. It is, it's in default. It's really in default. This means that out of 10 people, 9 of them would benefit from a conversation with you about estate planning. Now, here's another fun fact to know. Why is this market so huge and still yet so untapped? Who would like to answer that question? Why do you think this huge problem exists with virtually everyone? Because everyone now is your potential client. Whereas if you're in the real estate business, you're hoping every 7 years someone's looking to move statistically and untapped. So why is it?
I think partially because talking about death was such a off-putting idea back, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Up until recently, people really didn't like talking about death. Even if you're planning for it to create a legacy or to help your children or your grandchildren or whatever, a lot of people didn't like to talk about it.
That is so true. Nobody really wants the Grim Reaper there, right? Nobody wants to drive a hearse up to your door and say, get in. But, with all of these drones overhead, people are starting to really think more about the realities of life. And you would be surprised. I was having a conversation with a longtime 25-year client, very extremely wealthy. And we work with people who have money in the stratosphere, really. I mean, beyond what you could believe. Now, his estate is in place, obviously. And by the way, what we're talking about doing and our program and being a turnkey system to wrap up an estate plan comprehensively, thoroughly, appropriate, and it's compliant, and it's proven, and it's legitimate, and it's fairly priced. It isn't for everyone, because people who have estates that may be $10 million or more, they would be better served sitting with an estate planning professional law firm, because they will need various other types of asset protection plans, trusts, grats, cruts put in place to shelter their assets. Another subject for another day. But you're right. It's because people do not want to face it. And so because it's not top of mind, it's always put off, and they'll put it off. So there's no sense of urgency. Now, in any profession, I don't care if you're a doctor or a surgeon. Believe me, I've seen my handful in the last 5 years. I'm still seeing them. Some of them tell you, get cut open right away. An insurance agent may say, you need to get this in place immediately before the hurricane comes, and get you thinking in a way to motivate you. Real estate agents want to take action now. Well, there might be two reasons. One is so that there could be a payday currently, and that's something that we need to always be careful about, tying that into anything. But it's also because the market is fluid. The market could change. You need to take action now before, the market dries up, or, there's more saturation, whatever the case may be. But in estate planning, they've been living fine like this for 40 years. So what's the rush, right? What's the rush? And I think as professionals, our responsibility, I'll speak for myself. You guys could speak for yourself. My role is to get someone to move from point A to point B successfully. And if I cannot move them to where they want to be and where they need to be, they didn't fail. They didn't. They're used to living that way. I failed. I failed to move them to action. I failed to motivate them. That really is what it's all about. It's motivating to do the right things for themselves that without your help, they wouldn't do. Now, they also think about how much this is going to cost, right? Many times they'll come right up and tell you, look, estate planning, I can't afford it. It's going to cost way too much. Or some of them may say, we think about it. We just don't know who to talk to about it. Well, that's a great opportunity for you, because they could speak to you very friendly, like, non-threatening, help them along and move them along the process. And also, they cannot make the time. And sometimes that is tricky, right? Especially if they're a professional person in a way, and they cannot put time on their calendar to make these decisions. May also be uncomfortable, and the process may become too long for them to sit through. And they don't want to spend their spare time driving downtown, paying for parking, having multiple visits to a law office. This is what people perceive in their mind, that they've been conditioned because no one has ever told them, look, we can make this very seamless for you. Once we close on the property, we're going to line up a 15-minute call and move you along the right steps to take to get this house to avoid probate. Right then and there, if you can get that $600,000 out of their estate, you've done more than any other real estate agent has ever done. Forget the other monies they have, that will follow. And so obviously they need someone like you to bring the issue to the surface and make this an easy process. And this is where you come in, being known as their family realtor. You're in a position to bring the topic to the surface if you follow this cycle of success step by step. You already know your suspect will benefit from having the conversation about estate planning 90% of the time for any 10 people. And if that doesn't encourage you to do the right thing and help them and help yourself, because you do get paid when this happens, and you do get referrals, and you do get set up on a launch pad for all of their property, there's no better place to be. Now, I'm saying it. You don't have to believe me. You could try it. That's why I'm wearing this cap. It doesn't mean greatest of all time. It means go out and try. That's what it means. So what most professionals do not implement is how to develop the suspect, how to make it top of mind through awareness, how to convince the suspect to discuss the topic on a favorable basis. Same thing with real estate. When you're ready to talk about it, I'm here for you. What to say in the first interview or meeting, how to close the front end sale, the estate plan itself. That's the front end sale, by establishing the desire to handle this issue now that it's top of mind. Trina, you and I know we've sat with hundreds of people by phone, and the best time to move them forward was then. Every day that we wait, that time period becomes elongated. And so it requires us to do more work to follow up, to re-engage them. Would you give me a true to that?
I would agree with that. However, so the hundreds of people that we talk to were all cold leads. So they, I think for me anyway, they would be in a slightly different category because I don't have that relationship with them. And so yes, it is a longer road to follow up, to build that rapport and to, stay top of mind because even though a lot of them didn't move forward right away, it's still in the back of their mind that they need to get this done. And as long as I keep keeping in touch with them, reaching out to them, I will stay top of mind. So
As a realtor, I agree with you totally. And as a realtor, think about this. For every day or every month or every year that they wait, what do you think is going to happen? The price of the plan is going to go up. Just
well,
like
not only that, life is going to happen, and
right.
something is going to move them forward as soon as it happens.
Exactly. Making it more complicated.
Yes, of course. But
Now,
being a family realtor, we have, that connection made already. We have that relationship. They already know us, like us, and trust us. So that will be a shorter or an easier
Incubation.
sell, I should say, because of that relationship.
Lowell, you were saying something.
Oh no, I just threw a word in there, but no, I agree with both of you totally. That it just makes sense, and I feel you'll probably get to this in your conversation, but realtors are trained to keep in touch with their clients, and what ends up happening is we come up with some kind of marketing scheme, marketing plan. We send them a calendar, we send them a cookie recipe, we send them a DIY articles and all kinds of stuff. But with this, we have a reason to follow up, and it's a valid reason, and we're bringing value when we say, hey, it's been 6 months since you established your estate plan. Have there been any changes in your life that we need to take a look at to update that? I mean, now you're embedding yourself into that family as the family realtor, as the real estate professional, that we aspire to be.
You said it better than I could ever say it, and much clearer also. I'll give you credit for that. So now that we know what the front end sale is, okay, we need not really worry about the back end sale because the back end sale is going to promote itself. Its head will rise up and show itself to us. And that's why that back end sale is what is ultimately the important side for us, right? Ultimately. I mean, if we never did a real estate transaction because we just already sold them a house, would you say that we're doing the wrong thing by getting them involved in an estate plan? No, absolutely not, because their children who own a house will need one, or their children who do not have a house but are married and have children who rent will still need one. And they'll also need you to guide them through that real estate purchase. Don't you see? It's like eternally endless here. So people can go out and buy all the leads they want and still fail in doing this, getting leads. So the back end sale, that's where it's at. It's in the sale or sales of real estate. That's why you're positioned as that realtor coordinator, that facilitator who stays with them throughout the entire process and through the post-sales servicing work, which needs to take place. And thank God for that, because that is the magic. That's the secret sauce. That's where we do our best work, to prove that we just don't sell and run, right? And that is what people don't like. I bought this from someone, I never heard from them again. And my neighbor had referred another agent to me, and I don't know, they were just there. They can't speak English, but I use them anyway. It's, I mean, when does it end? So for anyone who's multi-licensed like I am, I know Trina is, this opens up the door to more product and the right thing to do for people by having discussions about what's really meaningful to them in their lives. Do you know that if you fund your trust with your assets and you put your money in it and you put your house in it, and your intention is to make sure that it's always going to be there for you, for your children or for your heirs, there's a high likelihood that there will be nothing left to transfer to your children. Why? Because you may need that money to survive throughout your lifetime. And so it's vitally important to create what we call trust sustainment modeling, which makes sure that we can identify and make sure that you never run out of money, that this trust will always be solid with assets to shift to the next generation. That is some of the post-planning work that your clients get when they're teamed up with us. So, affirmations by happy clients who increase the quality of future prospects do that by referring you. This is how you will gain referrals without even asking for them. But by the way, you are granted authority to speak to their family members, to speak to their trustees who's 42 years old with a house. You need to speak to them because you need to make sure that they are educated in doing what needs to be done when someone passes away. That is the most important work. So listening to me teach you may be superior to all other marketing projects you may learn about next year. Now, this has a low cost and is easy to learn and to implement. It's also easy, if you get on the right platform with us, to have a downline of a few other agents so that you can also teach them, and you may be able to make some money from the sales of their client's estate plan. So we provide the training. We help you earn income from doing so. It sounds like it's a no-brainer for 2025. I am here to help you make your first sale, right, with your client, your next sale, and all first estate plans, the first end, right? Not the tail end, the estate plan. That's what has to be done, and your clients would be served very well with your help to make sure they get what they need in each case. So I'm about dried up. We have 20 minutes. I'm opening the microphones to all of you so I could sit back and hear how excited you all are.
I have a question. This was great, by the way. And thank you everyone for sharing. I just wanted to know regarding follow-up. I know you all have a system that's already built in place, but for someone that's just, I guess, getting started on this, do you treat this as a normal or the conversation as a normal follow-up process, like where I'm following up weekly and doing any type of drips and sending letters, or is it a different avenue of follow-up that you all are doing?
Before I let Trina respond, we must first identify these avatars. We must know what market we're trying to hit. Are we looking at cold call leads? We have a system and a way to generate cold call email addresses. And that would be a cold call email campaign. We also would look at your warm market, right? These are people who already know you, like you, they may trust you, may not have done any business with you. Your warmer market. Then you need to look at your current client list. Those people already are familiar with going through processes with you. And if it was done the right way, would definitely want to hear from you and thank you. And then there's everyone else. And so each one of those will have its own campaign. We've created the email templates for those particular segments. We are now branching out further with Trina's assistance to be able to supply what she will be about to tell you about our email campaign and maybe how you can reach out to some of those people.
Thank you.
So that's a great question. We do have email campaigns set up to where you will be able to reach out once a month to your database. You can use it for your cold and also for your warm. But in addition to those campaigns, we're also providing you with templates made in Canva, so easy for you to edit. So they'll be for your Instagram and your Facebook post as well. So the emails and the templates will coincide with each other, so you can send them out or use them, at the same time on the same day. Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Welcome.
So if I could chime in on that, I don't know how many people that are on here have heard Trina's story, but Trina made a viral post. Trina's a star, if you guys don't know. Trina made a viral post. So why don't you tell us about how that all transpired, Trina?
Okay. I did go viral my very first time, and it was completely unexpected. I did an Instagram post, an Instagram reel rather, regarding estate plans, letting buyers know one of the first things they need to do once they purchase their home is to put it into a living trust. And I did that so that I wanted to get more business in the probate niche, and I wanted to use those people who reached out. I wanted to be able to refer them to estate planning attorneys. but I didn't realize it was going to go viral. I had no clue. And this actually led me to meet Sal, and he actually helped me to come up with a plan. So this video got over 4 million views, thousands and thousands of comments. I had hundreds of people book time on my calendar for just a 15-minute conversation. Oh, thank you. And so right now I still have a good 400 people sitting in my database. So I'm still reaching out to these people every month, which is why, we were talking about follow-up, not everybody who raised their hand right away were able to move forward with, completing their plan. And so I'm still in touch with all of those people. I mean, so they'll either unsubscribe, they'll contact me to get their plan done, or they'll, say, hey, I have more questions. So I'm just there whenever they're ready, right? And I have their names, emails, and phone numbers. So I can reach out at any time to get reconnected with all of these people.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
And it was a simple. You held the phone and you walked and talked.
Yeah, as silly as that looked.
Well, it looked great. And I told you, you have a great voice in the delivery. And that was key. And you just said, hey, if you're buying a house, you're getting property, make sure that you put it in the trust. Do not let it go through probate.
Yeah.
And that will cost your family thousands of dollars, time. You don't want to place that upon your family, do you? Let me help you find an attorney. This was the magic. This was the interesting part, I thought. So she said, comment below, right? Because what Trina said was, I will help you find an attorney in your area to help your family avoid probate with your property. Am I right? That is what you said.
Yep.
But think about it. What she said to do for her call to action was, please comment with the word trust in the comment section if you have an interest. And everybody, I mean, thousands of people commented, trust, yes, need one now. I'm here, I'm there. I was just overwhelmed. She was overwhelmed.
Okay.
But the interesting thing was that Trina had to make a decision as to what is she going to do now? Give strange attorneys in different states an opportunity to get connected with a stranger with an attorney that doesn't know this avatar that came in through social media, and they're going to spend their time with a unqualified person. It probably wouldn't happen. Or Trina would have to warm the attorney up, make all the phone calls, research who that attorney is, give this possible lead to an attorney, all with the hopes of that attorney perhaps finding out if there's real estate where something needs to be done. Now, since Trina's not in that state, Trina's now going to have to find another qualified agent to refer business to and maybe take a piece of the action. I was like, shoot, that's a lot of damn work. I wouldn't do it. And I'm a hard worker, but I like the simpler way, right? Don't we want more of a simpler way of doing things? So I said, Trina, you've got exactly what you want. Why give it away? Let's get the estate plan done for them, right? And if they really need an attorney that is so complex, we'll do it. And so for the high majority of cases, they fall right into what we're capable of doing. And now Trina can make money on the estate plan, take over all of the properties that they have, become that know-it-all, go-to family realtor. And it's just because of that one one video.
Not stupid.
Well, it wasn't stupid.
Okay.
It was-
I love it. But I need your Instagram or your TikTok. I gotta find you now.
Okay.
You should put the link in the chat box and have people add.
You know what? Actually, I can share, right, Sal?
Yes, I made you I just did it on LinkedIn with 29,000 of my followers. And I said, please help this agent get to, I think it was
Really?
200. Yes, 200,000 likes. Because right now you're like 170,000 likes. So I posted, I said, please help one of my realtors, that we partner with, get there. So I shared the Instagram post again.
Do not judge me for the captions that are incorrect. I was so embarrassed after I saw this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're already a homeowner, it's protected with a living trust. A lender might warn you that they may call the note due if you put the home in a trust, but they can't. The Garn-St. Germain Act protects you from that. Why is a living trust important? Well, it's simple. It bypasses probate. Probate is the legal nightmare that will drain your estate with fees and delays. Without a trust, your home could face government claims. You know, Uncle Sam always gets first dibs. Creditors are next in line, and of course, lawyers take a hefty bite also, further shrinking your estate. And even if you have a will, yeah, you still have to go through probate. A living trust cuts through the red tape so that when you're gone, your home seamlessly passes to your chosen beneficiaries. No probate, no delays, just peace of mind. Don't risk losing your home after all your hard work. Comment the word trust if you need a referral to an estate planning attorney. Share this with someone you love. The first thing you want to do after you buy a house.
I think it's still,
Love that.
yeah. Yeah, we're still at 176,000 likes and over to what, 28,000 comments.
Yep.
So
Wow.
when I had first did this, I had probably 600 followers. Now I have about 35,000.
I'm not going to tell you what to do with your business,
That's great.
but I would say, and you and I have talked about this, Trina, that your work needs follow-up. It needs someone. It needs help. It needs work. And I've told you this. It may be smart, and I'm not saying what to tell you to do, but you may want to consider having someone try to reach out to these people and move these people along. Because I know you don't have all the time in the world to do it. But, you know, so anyway, that's how it's done, folks. I couldn't do what she did. You know? I have the face for radio, right? So I can't do that. And people say, no, you have to go on you have to have a podcast and you have to be on videos. I'm like, no, come on. Right, Ramon?
I love your voice.
Well, it's a little hoarse, but I do have a good delivery. That I would admit.
You sound like Barry White.
You know, my group wants me to sing, the Barry White songs, whatever they are, all those. And I'm like, I can't sing like Barry White. There's no way. I can't. I tried. I'm like, you're my first, my last, my everything. I'm like, no, I can't do that. But thank you for the
No one can sing like Barry White.
No. So let's follow up. You got a few minutes. Good, bad. Any in the chat box, there's a couple of links. One is a link to a sign-up page for those who are not already part of what we do. So that would exempt at least Renee on this one here. And the other is a link to basically a realtor site you can look at and read and get a little more information. And if there's an interest in doing this, we have a few levels that you would join at that will allow you to participate in a way that's right for you monetarily, and also to really move forward with this at your pace or not. We hope that you do. We love the interaction. People need help. And Renee knows that. Renee, I think what you're doing is also brilliant. Anybody could talk about doing these things with a magazine and reaching out persistently, because persistence pays. But, it does require legwork, right? And you know that. And I admire you for having the gumption to be able to do it. So don't stop.
Thank you.
Don't stop.
I have a couple. I appreciate that. I have a couple of questions.
No questions. That's it. I'm all done. I'm finished.
If, for example, I had a past client, let's say today, that I reached out to and kind of was, because I've been talking a little bit about what I'm adding to my business this year, which is kind of this estate planning arm. What would be my first call? I mean, obviously I would call you, but like, to me, is there a process, because I'm so new to kind of all the back end stuff and seeing what material is available? If I had a client that's, and I talked to them and said, hey, do you have an estate plan? And they said no, and they were interested in moving forward. Is there a process of kind of moving that person to the next level?
There are many processes. So let's talk about what I would do. I would try to size up what they need to know. I would try to size up their urgency level first. I would want to know, and Trina, we've gone through this with people on the phone. Like, they want it done tomorrow. I mean, right? They said, can we get on the calendar with you this week? It's like, no, we're a month out. We're booked a month out. So we need to determine whether or not they already know their problem. They already got it. They already know what a trust does and how to avoid probate and what probate means and who they want to pass their stuff to. And if that's the case, I would move them right to getting on the phone with me when I sound better for no longer than 15 minutes. And this 15-minute is a complimentary discovery estate planning call where they can ask all the questions they want about estate planning, how it fits them, what it should be, what they should leave out, who is going to. We would identify their children. We would identify some of the properties, what they're trying to accomplish. And then we will say, we could do all of that for you virtually through the comfort of your home. We take you through a questionnaire that you can see, and it is recorded. And your realtor, me, you, Renee, will be here with you through the process. And here are the things that you will get. You'll get a revocable living trust, power of attorney, package, financial health care, advanced directives, living will, probate, avoidance language. You'll get special needs, opportunity. You'll get a pour over will. And then if they say yes, book them right then on that phone call to say, hey, 2 weeks from now, how about, Renee, do you have time Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening? Take about an hour, 15 minutes, something like that. And we could begin the process. Does that sound fair and convenient? Yes. How much does it cost? Our starting fee is $24.95. It includes everything. When I say everything, it's not getting an estate plan and us disappearing. It's all of the post-planning work that needs to be done. This is what costs me and probably the agent time, and you got to get paid for it somehow. So you could charge more than $24.95, and I would if they have more properties to add and they have larger assets or more complicated assets. And that is also done in that kind of 15-minute phone call to try to size them up. After that phone call, we try to get them, if they're urgent, directly on the calendar. Between that time and that calendar date, we come back at them with a review of our conversation in an email that we discuss this, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, here's the price, right? Trina, right? I mean, this is something we got to go through. So they get this review email that sets the stage and reminds them of their date and what they need to expect. And there's some expectations. Some of them may get it already. Some of them may need to be informed about, well, who do I think about for my power of attorney, right? So we could talk to them about that, like here's some instances of who a power of attorney should be. And we have documents that you could send to them that illustrates, for example, who are the best candidates for powers of attorney? Who are the best candidates for a trustee and successor trustee? So we have all of that material. But I wouldn't bombard them with all of this educational material. I would want to get them in first, if you can, if the urgency is there, and you could get that done. Now, if the urgency is not there, it means they're not fully educated, which means you then may need to send them a video, like what is probate or what is estate planning, right? What are the consequences of probate, along with a little blurb or some content material that they could read that will educate them and motivate them, and then have a call to action. Again, it's a cycle. Even if you send the video out, okay, a basic video on estate planning, you may not get them to take action. You still may have to come back, even with a button that says call to action. You still may need to follow up and say, before the price goes up, just like before the price of this house that you don't want to buy now is going to go up, folks. It's no different here. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to motivate people to action, right? And it's not false. The prices are going up. I tell Trina and Lowell that my vendors and the stuff that I purchased already are being increased. Like, are you kidding me? And I think you're seeing it. Do you know my maintenance? Did I tell you guys about my maintenance situation in my HOA? It's like unbelievable. The maintenance payments, right? I have 4 HOA payments. This is like totally out of hand. I mean, I feel like getting rid of property and renting. I mean, it's getting carried away. I don't know what your feelings are about that, but truthfully,
It's getting carried away.
I'm in Florida. Lowell, you never heard of this, and Trina, you said what? I said in Florida, forget it. These HOAs and these management companies have unrestricted power, and they take it to a new level. And, I remember telling you, Lowell, that, I have a tenant and we have to sign and approve, and they have to be approved by the association. And you said you never heard of that. Like, how could you never hear of that? That's the way it is.
Well, the better question is, how can an HOA have that much power? That's the better question.
I'll leave that up to you, fellow experienced real estate professionals.
So Renee, just to be to clarify a little bit, when you're having that conversation with a client and you inquire about them having, an interest in an estate plan and protecting their asset that they've purchased, you don't have to know all this stuff. You just get them on a call with Sal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just
so
get them
and
on
I
that 15
appreciate
minute
that.
discovery call.
One of the things that I plan to do is, and I think this is a good point. The last 4 years since COVID, I think that this is a really great opportunity to speak into a uncomfortable topic. And so for me, my goal for this year is like what Trina had said on her video. The very first thing that you need to do is put your property in a living trust. And to me, that needs to be included in part of our conversations with our clients as we're moving through the process, preparing them for that after closing conversation. And I think that nobody likes to talk about death, but I'm sure all of us here have experienced some level of death over the last couple of years since COVID in particular, or know someone or know friends or family who've lost someone tragically through this, craziness that was COVID. And I think that if we start speaking into that, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there to talk about an uncomfortable topic by leaning into what everyone experienced with people dying suddenly. And you see a lot of people that need our help, but it is an uncomfortable topic. But I think if you rephrase it from the standpoint of death and talking about it from a life standpoint, it's like, hey, we're talking about an uncomfortable topic, but really what this is about is life for your heirs. And if you don't protect it now while you have a say, other people are going to have a say in the end about, what your beneficiaries are going to receive. And, I think it's just for me, I want to add this on to part of my process so that it's not a surprise. It's like, hey, this is just how it is. You buy a house, you put it in a living trust. And, now I can go back and start reaching back to past clients this past year and say, hey, one of the things that I'm adding to my, business this year is making sure that post closing, my clients are protected in ways that maybe they think about or they just don't take action on, kind of have a process for that. So
Beautifully
Absolutely.
said.
That's
Beautifully.
yeah.
Lowell, I
That
have to,
that
I have,
that's
I have to ask
go ahead.
Lowell, and if you have to take off, that's fine. I know it's a little bit beyond 1 hour, but it's really getting good here. We're getting into the meat because Lowell, I'd like you to answer this question. So a realtor, anybody could really answer it, but I'm picking on you, Lowell. A realtor gets a sale. It's a $700,000 sale. Maybe they're on the ticket for 3%. All right, I don't know. That's 20,000. That's $20,000, right? Okay.
Right.
So look, if you're a smart realtor, you're going to back out 20% for taxes. Like you got to think in those terms immediately, but most don't. Now that's where you need to have a self-banking process, right? Be your own bank.
Yeah.
That you see,
We'll
there's
get
a
to
lot
that
more.
later.
Now, but let me go back to the question. So out of the $20,000, you sold somebody the house, you got your 3%, whatever it is. How many agents do you think would have the wherewithal, like a Renee or somebody else, to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, as I said, part and parcel of this is not, I don't want to experience any problems for your family ever. And I hope you know that this is a dream home for you, but I will never feel comfortable unless I know that I took you to the place you need to be and secured your legacy and your family and your children. Look at little Johnny and Betsy. Come on. Out of that 20,000, how many agents would be willing to say, you know what, to get you started, here's you know where I'm going. Here's a coupon of $500 to start off your estate plan, courtesy of me, and make up a coupon and have it become part of the process. Do you think real estate agents would be that stuck on not giving any of their commission toward getting that done? Heck, they're going to make the money back on the sale of the estate plan. Now, am I thinking off the wall, or is this like doable? Or do you think agents would say, no? Or is there a fine line here?
Every agent should make that a consideration. Every agent should be prepared to do that because it's going to put them in a different place with those clients, But unfortunately, I think a lot of agents won't be willing to do it. Too many agents are programmed to see just the next transaction, just the next transaction, just the next transaction, instead of creating a lifelong relationship with the client. And that's what this is intended to do. And that's why we call it the family realtor, because it's intended to make you the family realtor, just like, more affluent people have their family attorney, their family CPA, their family doctor. NAR wants us to elevate our business to that professional level. Unfortunately, we've had this conversation. I'm digressing a little bit, but the cost of entry to be a doctor, an attorney, a CPA, all those is much higher than it is for a realtor. So we're going to have to, put ourselves to that higher standard, right? And so you and I talked about this last week. I kept saying that this isn't for everybody. And I agree. After we had a conversation, I agree with you. It should be for every realtor. This should be for every realtor. This should be part of our process, not just, and I'm going to say it over and over again, not just be used house salesmen. Be the real estate professional and provide them that service. Help them purchase that $700,000 asset. Help them protect that asset. Help them ensure it transfers to their heirs as they would like it to. Help them through that. And in doing so, we become the family realtor, and we become that person that everybody in the family goes to. Oh yeah, mom and dad, their realtor Sal, he's the one that helped them do this estate plan. I'm going to call him because I think it's time for us to buy a house. Or we went through this trustee, what's the successor trustee training with Sal. And so that's when we learned about an estate plan. We just bought a house. We should get an estate plan too. I mean, this makes you a fixture in the family, just like the family doctor, the family accountant, the family bookkeeper, whatever. I mean, but it's just I'm a little passionate about it. So I'm sorry.
No. I think it's great, but there's something that you said that triggered something very important here, and that is, it's these touch points that.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you about the life insurance industry. Okay, now this is an aside thing, but you should know about it. There was a time, you guys don't know this. There was a time, and it was in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 20s, in the 50s, in the 60s, where the primary, prominent advocate, family go-to person for everything, okay, was not an attorney. There were no attorneys back then. Attorneys are a recent phenomenon in our country. It was the life insurance agent. That life insurance agent was known as a debit agent. They had a book of business. They had policies that they were to meet that family every month, knock on the door, collect their $20, sit with the family, and they knew all of the family, and everyone in the family knew that life insurance agent. That profession was wonderful. I wish I got in just after that. I wish we still used it, because that allowed us that entree to get to know that family at a very deep level. And the referrals continued, and they called the agent for this and they called the agent for that. That's missing. Once they went from a debit to an ordinary, which is different, the life insurance industry got washed away. It's like, go figure it out yourself, right? Well, this is kind of very similar here, what we're trying to do.
Hey, babe, your oven's off.
Don't burn it.
I know.
Don't burn it.
Don't burn it.
Don't you see what we're trying to do?
Turkey.
It's kind of late for that.
I know.
We're early.
So what we're trying to do in a nutshell is exactly what Lowell, you said. I mean, you take the words out of my mouth as though you heard me say it before. The point is that, my friends, put yourself in a constant touch place, right? Find the way that's legitimately going to serve them best. And I don't know any other than this. I mean, I sell life insurance, a lot of it, retirement planning, asset accumulation, risk management. I do a lot of things. I love them all. Those are more difficult, actually, right? Because it's that one little spot. I've got to get in there in that one spot, right? I've got to create this whole environment of education just so I can find that one spot. Estate planning is like, hey, everything else falls through estate planning. Everything, real estate, insurance, I don't care what it is. So I'm excited as hell. Either we're onto something or it's a big flop. But I don't care. I'm in it for the ride. But I'm not alone, because I'm not the only one that does this. But in the real estate space, I think I am. We are, not just me. So you should be proud, and you should feel excited about it, because it is unique, and you should be the first one out there, honestly. And I'm not good at promoting myself. Lowell, Trina, you guys probably know that. I'm not. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. I probably should be. People say I'm great. You should. You have it all. This needs to be prominently brought to the next level so that it becomes engaged and embraced, right? Because otherwise it's me preaching to the choir, right? So we do need each other here. Ramon, final words come from Trina, but I'm going to let Ramon go first because we haven't heard from you.
Well, I actually had a question. Sorry. So Trina, social media is a global scope. So I'm just wondering, back in my head while all this discussion was happening, is how do we deal with, like you said, that's a lot of work to connect everyone. Like you have to be like a focused army of, realtors or people anyway in your team to to only get the people that you're in your jurisdiction where you can do your real estate and insurance sales, right? So what do we do with the rest? And this is what I'm trying to figure out in my mind, because you don't have a license for everywhere else in the world. So it's like these are like lost opportunities. So I want to let go of these
Well,
fishes.
I went like this, and now I'm dizzy. But I have to say,
So,
this operates in all 50 states. Now, are you trying to say to Trina, well, how do you do this? Because you should do this in your own jurisdiction? No, I think Trina is going to answer how she can make opportunity out of working in any state. So it's up to you to say the right thing, Trina.
Ramon. So before I connected with Sal, what I started doing was reaching out to other real estate agents in these different states because, like you said, I couldn't be everywhere and I didn't know attorneys in every state. Um, but now, after working with Sal, so when we do our estate planning, we are able to in all 50 states. So I don't have to be everywhere at once. And we do everything through Zoom. So it's really easy for everybody to meet and connect that way.
So let's talk about the back end sale. You just discussed getting them the estate plan. So now we learned that they have property in Oklahoma. How do you do business with somebody in Oklahoma that has property when you don't have a license to do business as a realtor in Oklahoma? Can somebody explain how you would do that?
So just as I was explaining, so when I was able to meet with all of these other realtors, I was actually giving them these referrals. I said, hey, I have this video that went viral. I need agents who want to meet attorneys or estate planners in their area. Here's some clients that you can introduce them to. So I was trying to help these realtors build their business as well. So these same realtors I have connections with. So anytime I need to refer any type of business, I can just reach out to them. And I have real estate partners. And if they've reached out to the attorneys, like I assume that they did, I have that connection as well.
And EXP is global, right? So, we always could post, hey, well, I'm looking for a realtor who can handle Oklahoma. I have somebody here. Here's a referral fee. I want 50%.
Yes. Yeah.
Or
No,
30 or 20 or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, I did in workplace and also on regular Facebook. So yeah.
So yeah, there's no limitation, but good question, Ramon.
Thank you.
You
All
can
right.
also go through a referral network through like any of the designations that you have. Like for me, from an EXC standpoint, if I'm looking for agents that have the ABR or SRES designation, I'm building relationship with people like that in those states to try to have that touch point to build that referral network that way.
Are you saying there's a list of these agents available?
Yeah, so like when you have, like I have the SRES designation. And so what I have done is I reach out to other SRES agents in other areas that I'm looking to kind of build relationship with just from a referral standpoint. And I find that it's a really good opportunity for me to talk to other agents that have the same designation just to kind of ask them how they're using their designation. Because let's face it, we're inundated with information all day long, every day. We get overwhelmed. We pay for all these designations. I got a new one renewal. Hey, send me $100, send me $300 for the right to use these letters behind your name. But then really, what value are they providing? And so I use it as an opportunity to talk to these agents that have the same kind of designation, to build relationship with them, to say, hey, what's working for you? Are you pulling down any of the information that they provide online, like ABR? Those kinds of things. And it really gives you an opportunity to open up conversation with just a random agent in Oklahoma.
So you could send 100 emails out or 1,000 to them and say, hey, how are you using estate planning to advance your real estate business? And they'll say, oh, I always wanted to know. The answer is going to be, I already have that title on my website, but I don't know how. Yeah, it makes sense. So right there, you could build your own little subgroup. Just harnessing on that. Doesn't have to be SRES, but I get it. I was SRES. I dropped it because for whatever reason, I didn't use it in that way. But great point.
Yeah.
And this, once we have the course all mapped out and everything, we will have a certification. Obviously, it's not going to be an official NAR recognized certification, but I mean, you hear a little bit about the education that's going to be involved in it. So I'm sure everybody on here will see the value of it, and it won't be like those other designations where you just pay $97 a year and you get nothing, right? There's going to be ongoing value, ongoing education here. There's going to be a lot more. And I'll say it out loud. Because I just thought about it as you were speaking, Renee. We could build our own network of agents that we can refer estate planning business to across the nationwide. and with that, we'll have confidence that they've gotten the education to be able to speak about this, and relay the information to their clients and represent us. If I have somebody's moving to Nashville, if I have somebody that I know that has gone through this in Nashville, I can refer them and be comfortable with the fact that they're going to take care of that client as I would.
Yeah, that's great. So much information.
Great. Well, it was a great meeting. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to next Friday, if you can make it. And who knows what's going to be up our sleeve. But I put my phone number down in the chat, Lowell's and Trina's. We could reach out to any of us. And if you have questions or you want to bring somebody to the table and try your first one, just let me know. Just go out and try. Right. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
Too.
Good weekend.
Great seeing you. Bye.